What is up, everybody? Welcome to week 10 review of Roughing the Passer. As always, my name's Drew and joined by Mr. John Newman. How's it going, bud?
It's going good tonight. Got a kind of
Yeah,
an
yeah, yeah.
unexpected victory. I know we're on the opposite sides of the field today.
Yeah, you guys, that was a nice one. That was a good win. Impressive, to say the least. We had a tough one. I kind of had this one marked down as a loss for us before the season began, so not too shocked, I guess you could say, at the outcome. But I was shocked at the outcome of your game. I will say that I did not see you guys doing that to the Rams, and I have a feeling that's a team we're going to be talking a lot about tonight.
Yeah, it's at this point. Well, we talked about this last week. Our room for error is slim to none, and we have to win.
Yeah.
Really almost every game here on out. I mean, we're back
Yeah.
over 500 at 5-4. And considering where we were, this is pretty good. It's the best scenario considering the start we had. We got Minka in the trade, and that's paying dividends, and we got to keep it rolling. You lose, at any point now, it's sort of like ends that momentum. So you just want to keep going. Now we got a short week and a Thursday game.
No, yeah, I completely agree with you. That you guys you're on the right track and moving in the right direction. And there's a lot of teams that aren't. This is really, you get to this time of year. This is really when stuff starts to move. And let's take a rundown through the schedule and take a look here. Chargers and Raiders, battle of two teams out there in LA and about to be Vegas, and the Raiders squeaking one out 26-24. Josh Jacobs, yet again, dude, that kid's absolutely ridiculous. He's
He's
amazing.
proven me wrong. And probably some others. He just looks like he's going to be a force in the league.
Yeah, he absolutely does. I think I'm starting to lose you there, bud, but we'll hope that signal catches up here in a minute. Facebook's been iffy all night, so apologies, guys, if the feed does get a little rough. But moving on, we also had the Lions and Bears. Oh my! As the Bears actually squeaked this one out, 20-13, and big story from this game was Trubisky getting. I mean, according to some people, getting back on track. Maybe three passing touchdowns today. What do you think of good old Mitch?
Well, yeah, I really, I didn't see the game, so I don't want
Yeah,
to talk as someone who watched the game, but
right.
I don't think my opinions changed too much. I think
Yeah.
they were playing a Lions team, and not to go off on a tangent on the Lions, but at this rate, Matt Patricia might be the defensive coordinator for the Patriots again soon. I'm sure Belichick would take him back with open arms. I thought they made more of progression with him there, especially on the defensive side of the
Yeah.
ball. And they really haven't. I'm not saying they're not slightly better, but no run game to speak of, and their defense hasn't been lights out. And as evidence today, when Trubisky throws three scores against you, so I know he's not on the hot seat because it's he's in his second year, but he may leave himself. He may just say, you know what, I like less pressure as a defensive coordinator on a winning team, and I'm sure Belichick will take him back.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised, man. Any Lion fan that was talking about how this was Matt Stafford's fault that they were struggling and that they couldn't wait to see what life without Matt Stafford looks like. Well, I did get to see some of that game today, and sorry guys, because when Stafford leaves, there's nothing there. I mean, it was awful. The game in itself was awful. Trubisky should have had the game he had. I don't take much away from his actual performance on this. What I take more away from is, like you said, that Lions defense. And Matt Patricia, I thought, coaching trees are important in this league. They mean quite a bit. And, he's coming from a pretty strong one yet. his defense and, kind of his bread and butter, it's not showing up this year. But
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on now to the next game, we had one of your picks and a pick that you were worried about when you picked the spread because it was so high, but you had absolutely no problem covering as the Ravens beat the Bengals 49-13. Dude, I mean, when Baltimore gets it going this year, it's incredible.
Yeah, they're the leaders of the AFC North. They've earned it so far. Lamar Jackson's playing very well. It's, at the time, I think he's got room for improvement with his accuracy. But it is what it is. Until they lose again, they're one of the favorites in the AFC right now. They just came off beating New England pretty convincingly too, by the way. So, and now I know a couple of weeks ago I kind of said one team's coming out of the AFC North. But there's an outside chance at two. With the Steelers just moving up the charts and whatnot. I'm not saying for sure, but it more so now than a few weeks back. And,
no, 100%. You guys have put yourself in the position. Like I said, you're bona fide right there in the playoff hunt. But and getting back to Baltimore, I mean, I've been impressed since the beginning. I thought they were a really good team. I did not think they were this good, but I'm fully on board with this team now. I love it. I mean, I know this is the Bengals, so I didn't really take much from it except for, okay, they can still do what they did in week 1. I mean, when they want to turn it on, it seems like they can turn it on. Like you said, with Jackson, I see some flaws and some things to improve on, but I love the kid. If there's a young quarterback that I like more than it looks like we may have lost John for just a few, so he'll be back here shortly, so I'm going to take over for him right now. So sorry about that, guys. But while we are waiting, we will go on and keep going through the schedule. And my favorite team to talk about every single week, just kidding, the Atlanta Falcons beat the Saints today 26-9. And I think we got Mr. Newman back here. Let's see. Are you back there, buddy? Let's see. Did we get you back, Mr. Newman? Maybe in just a minute. But as I said, you got the Falcons beating the Saints 26-9.
I think I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we sure can. And you jumped right back in. Yes, we can. Yeah, we can. And it seems like you
I see myself. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, bud. Looks like John's having some more technical issues. We'll see if he is able to jump back in here or not. You hear, bud? There he is. I think we got him back. All right, so you jumped right back in, man. I'm right in the middle of talking. Falcons beating the Saints.
All right, how about now?
Yep, we got you. Anyway, so you got the Falcons beating the Saints 26-9. The Giants and the Jets 34-27. Giants and Jets battle in New York. That was a pretty wild game right there. One that I actually wanted to ask John a little bit about if we can ever get him back in there. And if anybody wants to call in and talk about any of your teams today, any of your games, you're more than welcome to. Just hit that link right there at the bottom, and you can pretty much follow a couple sets of instructions, and you're right there on the screen. So we're going to do our weekly, little minute check-in. John, you back with us now, bud?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We sure can.
I don't know what it was. We were talking about the Ravens. So maybe they maybe that had something to do with it.
It might have, but we're glad to have you back. And it seems like you jumped right back in. We'll go back in reverse. I only covered one more game, and I got to the Falcons and the Saints, a surprise game of the day. Falcons winning 26-9. Dan Quinn saving his job. I don't see him leaving now, so I didn't even get up to type my favorite banner. My favorite banner that I always get to love, my Dan Quinn banner, and I didn't get to use it. But I think it helped my Panthers out. I knew this game was coming. It had trap game written all over it. These divisional games with the NFC South, I don't know. You knew it was going to happen. I just felt it the whole week.
Yeah, I'm more surprised than you are. It's a shocker to me. There's some crazy this week. I learned one thing. I don't know a lot about football, even though I thought I did. A lot of surprise scores, including my own team. Talking about that one, but this one was surprising, and in New Orleans. If you would have told me this was Atlanta, I would have been surprised. But the fact that this happened in New Orleans and it's just surprising. I don't know. Did Quinn? I think after this game, Dan Quinn got his contract extended 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, it was. You got to give them credit. I mean, they played a great game. I got a chance to see some of it. I guess the reason I'm not surprised is because, like you getting a chance to watch Baltimore all the time. I see these teams and watch them every single week. And these NFC South games, these are the games that whoever wins the NFC South that year, these are the games they always lose. These little trap games. Atlanta always gets up for us in New Orleans, and for Atlanta, for a team that's doing nothing but coaching for Dan Quinn's or playing for Dan Quinn's job. I mean, being able to maybe hurt New Orleans' playoff chances, maybe knock them out of a bye. That's their victory. So interesting to watch nonetheless. But moving on now, you had the Battle in New York with if you want to call it that, with the Jets winning 34-27 over the Giants. And so I know we're going to stop and talk about this game for a little bit, Bud, because I know you had some interesting things I saw in the Longest Yard group that you posted a little earlier today. And by the way, anybody, please click on that link that I did show you and call in if you'd like to discuss anything that we're talking about today, or if you have any questions, or if you'd like to comment. But John, what is going on with these Giants?
Yeah, I watched this game, so I can comment a little bit more from experience. Terrible running back play by both teams. Saquon, 13 carries, 1 yard, and the offensive line for the Giants is terrible. Let's be real.
Oh, awful.
But still, 13 carries for 1 yard. He did have 5 catches out of the backfield. Some of it's the play calling, but I gotta be honest with you. I watch just because of where I live. I do catch a lot of the Giants games. Not being a fan of them, they just here in New York, and Shermer's not the answer. They need really a whole new coaching staff. With that group, and like the headline reads on the screen here, folks, does Saquon need out of New York? And Saquon Barkley is one of my favorite non-Steeler players, so I'm biased in that respect. I think he does. I think they've had, I know he's young, but he's not a rookie. They've had a few years now to when you have a marquee player like this. You've had a few years to fix this line, to build an offense, and I think this front office has shown that they either they can't do it or they're unsuccessful in their attempts. And we both know a running back's window is not very big. So if I'm him, I know it's not his MO, and he's kind of a lunch pail guy, come to work. He did vent after this game. He showed a different side of him. Yeah. I think frustration's starting to set in for Saquon, and I think he's got to think about maybe life after New York, or life in wearing a different uniform.
Yeah.
I know he wants to be successful there. I know he wants the Giants to be successful there.
Yeah,
I think he's proven He's a great player. He's proven to be a guy that comes back quick from injury. And so I just think I'd hate to see him if this is the Giants, and we can go in the whole other Daniel Jones direction, which I'm not sold on him being the Messiah that other people make out to be. If I'm Saquon, I got to think about winning and having better running lanes and holes to go through. And because it's really, not that it's about just you, but, for some of these guys, their legacy's on the line as well. And so.
Oh, well, absolutely. And when it comes to Saquon, I think it has to do with when you're talking about if he needs to get out of New York, if it's going to be this regime and if this is who ownership's going to put out there all the way from general manager down to coach and even really the offense around him, whether it be the line, Daniel Jones, everyone, if that's going to be the foundation and that's the team that they're truly going to build around instead of implode it and start from scratch, then yes, I think he does need to leave because like you said, he doesn't have a very long time. And I don't see them being anywhere near in an NFC where there's a lot of teams that are improving and improving fast. I just don't see them. I don't know. I think they've got a quarterback, which, you kind of brought up a little bit in Daniel Jones, where, I think he's going to be a good quarterback. I think he's going to be a starting quarterback, but I don't see him as one of those quarterbacks that's going to all of a sudden take a franchise and just turn it right around. And that's kind of what they were drafting. So, I don't know. If you're Saquon, I don't know what you do. I do know that it's going to be contract discussion time here pretty soon. And I take a long, hard look at it. And, he's probably going to end up being franchised if we're being honest. But if things don't change, I'd get out of there if I'm him.
Yeah, and if you look at the box score, Drew. Now I watched the game, but if you didn't watch the game and you looked at this box score, you look at Daniel Jones' box score, and you say, "Holy smokes! 4 touchdown passes, 300 yards." But he fumbles. He fumbled. He fumbled just a routine shotgun snap, just completely muffed it.
Yeah.
And the Jets recovered and scored. On that drive, it's just little things like that. And I know people say he's a rookie. But you got to handle a shotgun snap. I don't care if you're a rookie or you're in your 14th year under, running an offense. It's a routine shotgun snap. I don't know what happened. I don't know if he's nerves. I don't know, whatever the case may be. That gave up points, and they actually lost by a score.
Exactly.
So you can point to that play. One play, the old adage, one play doesn't lose a football game, but it's a culmination of one.
They also add up. Yeah, I was about to say they all add up, and they're all part of the equation, and that one's definitely not helping. So, you mentioned the box score. I did want to take a moment at least because I don't have a lot to be happy about. So I would like to give myself a pat on the back for the Darius Slayton call. For anybody that saw my DFS picks earlier in the day, I actually put him out there as one of my sleeper picks, and man, that kid delivered today. If there was one bright spot, that would definitely be it.
Yeah. Well, you picked Samuel too, and he found end zone as well. Yeah, Slayton had a huge game. Double-digit catches like you see on the screen there, and they have some receivers that are coming up, but the line is what's doing them in, and Jones is not having a lot of time. Barkley doesn't have a lot of running lanes. I get it's one of those glass half full, glass half empty deals. The Giants fan will tell you they're a lineman or two away from winning the Super Bowl. I will argue they're a lineman or two away from having a decent offense, but they're on their back end of the defense. They still have issues, so they're not really 1 to 2 guys away from holding up a Lombardi, but maybe 1 or 2 linemen away from
You can
having
get
a
a
much
solid,
better
if you
offense.
can get a solid left tackle in there, somebody that can actually help anchor that offense down, give Saquon some type of holes. I mean, just looking in comparison, I'm watching Aaron Jones today in the snow, in some pretty rough snow. The holes he was getting from that Green Bay offensive line. If you give Saquon Barkley those type of holes, he's going to run through them all day, and he's going to be incredibly successful. So I don't know. Like you said, I think they're more than a couple of players away myself. So we'll see what happens. But moving on now to a couple more games that happened this week. You had the Bills and the Browns, and I swear I guess Vegas is Vegas for a reason. Is once again they called this one right on the nose with the Browns getting their third win of the season and beating the Bills 19-16. I don't know, shocked me to say the least. As soon as I finally started to actually give Carolina North, Buffalo credit, they go out and lose to Baker and the Browns.
Yeah, this is another one, a game I watched. Not the whole thing. I watched a good percent of it. Baker threw a touchdown. I forget to who, but one of the fourth receiver.
Shot
It was wide.
Higgins, I believe.
Yeah, wide open. Basically, use him as the decoy. Everyone rolled over to OBJ and Landry's side, and this guy was standing all alone and wide open. Buffalo tried to rally. They got in field goal range to tie the game, and Stephen Hutchka missed wide left. And Cleveland holds on, and Baker's excited, and I'm sure there's some Brown fans that think everything's right in the world again, but I wouldn't go that far.
I don't know. I mean, I guess when you're Cleveland, I guess 3-6 is cause to celebrate. I don't know. I haven't really been there. I mean, granted, we've never had back-to-back winning seasons in our entire franchise history, so it's not like I'm used to sustained success. But yeah, I don't know. I think this is one of those games where if you're Buffalo, if you're one of those teams like Buffalo where I thought they were going to be one of those teams to take that next step, you've got to be incredibly disappointed with this performance. As this is one of those games you just can't drop if you're going to take that next leap. If you're going to be playing New England twice while they've got Tom Brady, if you're going to be playing in a tough AFC to begin with, you cannot be losing these games against teams like Cleveland. I mean, it can't happen. And little shocked. I mean, I was shocked, but Vegas wasn't. So I guess I need to stop disagreeing. Even though, I kept it at 3, they kept it at 3. So I actually did end up winning that game. But, Vegas knows their stuff. Moving on now to the team that can't even tank the right way, the Miami Dolphins beat the Colts. Dolphins on a winning streak. Dolphins winning 16-12 today. I don't know what Miami's doing, but I don't know.
Well, this is one game. This is the game I lost, one of my picks.
Yeah.
And I told you when we did our picks preview show, I said this the point spread scares me. And then with Jacoby not sure he was playing, then he didn't play, and Hoyer played, and I think they see what Brissett really means to this offense now. And so I think the Colts are obviously going to be in the market for a quarterback, whether that comes in the draft or signing a free agent, former starter type of guy. But, I'm not saying Brissett is losing his job. I'm just saying they need a viable number 2 to come in so they can win a couple games when the starter goes down. I don't think they have that. Hoyer used to be that guy, but he's a little long in the tooth. Yeah. And I think it showed today. And the Colts dropped a game. They probably went in thinking they could rest the Brissett and still win this game. And it sort of, backfired on them. And it's really, the AFC has really opened up again wild card wise.
It is wild. It's crazy. There are so many good teams in the AFC right now that are, I looked right before at the standings. That are a game and a half apart. It's insane.
They had there's a lot of 5-4 type teams. The Steelers
Mhm.
were dead in the water 2 weeks ago,
Yeah,
and now, surprising to myself included, they're right in. They would, when they put when shows put up the graphic into Hunt, they made it
yeah,
into that sector, and so
right.
the Raiders are 5-4. Who would have thunk that? Me and my son had this debate. I said, uh, when they got Antonio Brown before all that stuff got off the
Mhm.
rails, I said if he keeps his head on straight, the Raiders could be a sneaky playoff team. My
Yeah,
son said,
yeah,
"You're nuts, dude," and here they are, and that's
yeah,
without AB.
yeah,
Gruden, whatever you want to say about him, he's a good coach. He gets the most out of the least. He's one of those kind of guys, I think, and they got a ton of draft picks still, and so I think the
yeah.
Raiders, wherever they play, Vegas, wherever, they're not as far away as a lot of people think, and they're knocking on the door right now. So
No, with the draft capital that they have, especially like you just said, and Gruden in particular, he's one of those guys. I think he obviously loves the camera and loves the attention, but I think he's one of those guys that doesn't need it. Like
yeah,
I think it needs to be far away from him. I mean, he's good at it and he loves it, but it's almost when you stop paying attention to him, when they're stopped being in the headlines every week, when you get Hard Knocks out of there, when you let him just get down to coaching, look at what they're doing. They're right in the thick of things with the Steelers and about 500 other teams, it seems like.
yeah, yeah. The AFC North. I think what's apparent now, Drew, is that we're definitely the AFC North, or the AFC North, the AFC, at least the wild card portion, probably going to come right down to that final week with how that all shakes out, who beats who wins. We're not even going to know who. We might know division winners, but we won't know those last two.
Yep. All right, and so moving on, a couple more games before we wrap this schedule for today up. The Bucks squeaked out a victory over the Cardinals, a hard-fought game, 30-27. Kyler Murray and Christian Kirk hooking up a couple of times. I believe it was 3 times actually for 3 touchdowns. Kyler Murray continues to impress. He's playing good. Obviously dropping a game to Tampa, but I mean it. I like the kid. I think what he's doing is good. I think he's got a lot of work. I mean, I know it's so different watching so many running quarterbacks these days. I mean, we're looking at Watson. You look at Lamar Jackson. You look at Murray. I mean, to a sense, Baker, I guess. So many of these more mobile quarterbacks, I don't really know if we need to judge them the way that we used to. Should I say if maybe there should be a little bit different curve, but I like what I'm seeing out of Murray. Like I said, I know they lost this game today, but he played fantastic.
Yeah, he's surprising me. He was a
Yeah,
guy I was not high on,
me
but
neither.
again I got to give credit where credit's due. That
Yeah,
offense, the offense is clicking. If the
it is.
Cardinals can get a defense, watch out, because that's
Yeah,
where they're losing these games. And Kingsbury's an offensive coach, so if they can get the defensive part shored up, they're going to be someone to reckon with. They're not there yet, but what they are showing is offensively, they can put up points, and you're going to have to score points to beat them. And
yeah,
so the future, I think, is brighter than even some Cardinals fans probably thought before the
yeah.
season started.
No, I completely agree with you there. So moving on now, you've got another upset. So many games today that I
Yeah,
just did not see coming, and this might be one of the biggest. Pat Mahomes returns, Kansas City, everybody thinking everything's going to go gravy. Marcus Mariota sitting on the bench, and yet the Tannehill Titans beat the Chiefs 35-32. I mean, just it's a ridiculous week. That's all I can say. Just an absolutely ridiculous. I'm dropping my pen, everything. It's ridiculous.
yeah. This was again, like you said, another game that didn't go the way you would anticipate. And I'm not even listen. Let's be real here. I don't think Tannehill is the long-term
Oh God,
quarterback fix for the Titans. But let's be real too. He's a
he's
short-term
winning.
fix
Yeah, yeah,
for the Tennessee Titans. So I'm surprised they're playing better. You know, would have been interesting. What if he would the way he's playing? What if they
I'm.
just gave him the job before the season
Yep.
started instead of Mariota? This team might be even better than their record is now, and so they're sort of rolling a little bit. But again, they're an enigma in the AFC. Them and the Houston Texans. I always put them. And it's funny that they're related to each other,
Yeah.
and sort of, and they really have similar MOs. They'll win games like this today where you don't think they have a chance, and then the
Yeah.
next week they'll go lose to like a 1-7 type team by 10 points. So,
Yeah.
you know, but I think the potential's there. Tannehill can play a little bit. Obviously, he showed that today, and so you can't give them the 3 count yet. They're not out.
No, I mean, I guess there's got to be a reason that Miami didn't give up on him forever. I mean, he had to pretty much force his way out of Miami. I mean, that dude had to throw you can't even count how many interceptions just to get out of there. I mean, he's proving it now. The kid can play. I think he's talented. And I think people forget he was a starter for a long time because he did, essentially get demoted with this trade. I mean, they thought Mariota was the future. He was brought in as nothing but an insurance policy, but he's turning out to be a good one. I mean, they're playing great and shocking me, but this win today was very impressive against a Kansas City team that was clicking. They were not struggling today. This was not a team that struggled, started slow. I mean, they hung in there blow for blow with one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah, and they're 5-5, and Kansas City kind of, that AFC West that everyone just said Kansas City's got it wrapped up. They just got to throw the jerseys on the field and they win. That thing's not like that. I mean, you got the Raiders a game behind.
Yeah.
And, I'm not saying the Raiders win that division. I still think Kansas City finishes on top of that AFC West, but it's not the runaway walkover division title that people put on Kansas City. And the thing is, I think the harder Kansas City has to work to win the AFC West, it's like a fighter. They got to expend all that energy winning that fight, and then when they get to the next one, which would be the postseason. And again, let's be real. Andy Reid's postseason track record's not very good to begin with. I think that the struggling with the division itself is going to hurt them when it comes to that second season.
No, I completely agree with you. I think they're playing a dangerous game in Kansas City, but like you said, that whole they've got it all wrapped up part, and it's pretty much them in New England to go to the Super Bowl. That's not near set in stone now. I mean, they're 6-4. They're probably not gonna get a bye. I mean, they may, but probably not. I mean, it's going to be a tough road, and it's going to depend a lot on their health. So it's going to be interesting. But we'll wrap up the schedule for today as the last game on the slate, besides the game that's going on right now, where the Vikings are beating the Cowboys 17-14. As you can see, I'm trying to delay talking about this. But the Green Bay Packers beat the Panthers 24-16, and the score doesn't really say how close the game was. We had that shot. We had it at the goal line. It was cool to see football played in snow. I will say that until I realized it was my team, and then I had to watch that football. It kind of gets ugly, but we had a shot. We blew it. I didn't like the play. I like the play call going to McCaffrey, and I like the play call not doing a stupid little little screen pass or a little shovel pitch. But I just don't like where the play was designed, because it was designed straight up the gap. I would have liked to have given him one more step to be able to choose, give him two options of which hole to go through. Give him one more step, take him to the outside just a little bit instead of going straight up the middle. But what do? He came up about a foot and a half short.
I used to coach again high school football, and I like the armchair coach. And Drew, you watch a lot of football. I've watched a lot of football, and it's one of those things at the goal line. To where kind of the plays coming right through the gut, and you use sometimes some teams use a fullback. I'd like to see some of these teams kind of just say, "Listen, everyone expects us to go right through the heart here. Let's pitch it outside." With a guy who can make someone miss, even if he's kind of one-on-one with a guy, a juke move and an extension, holding the ball out to try to not
And
go right
McCaffrey has,
into.
but
Yeah, go ahead.
McCaffrey has one of the best stiff arms in the league too. I mean,
Yeah,
if you're going to give it to him, I just don't like the. It wasn't like it was a fall over yard, If it's now, granted, if it's first and goal at the half-yard line, yes, do that play, run that play call. He's gonna fall forward and get it. But if you're asking him to get those couple yards, that's where I don't like that play call. Like you're saying, you've got to give him an opportunity, especially somebody like Christian McCaffrey. Even if it is just to bounce out to a different hole from like the 3 to the 5, you've got to give him a chance to do something. I don't like bottling him up like that. But gutsy game by Carolina to begin with. I will say Kyle Allen played great. I expected Carolina to come out and play good. Defense got ran all over though. I cannot understand what's going on with our defense. I know we're switching from a 4-3 to 4-3 to a 3-4, but there's just so many games where we're either 110% all over everything, or we just cannot stop a single thing. And we've got this very interesting red zone strategy, which we've just decided every single time someone gets into the red zone, we're going to give them 6. It's interesting, but I mean, it's fail safe. Get inside the 20, we will give you 6. I don't really know, but at least we had a chance to win. All things considered, we had a chance to win at the end. Just dumb play call.
Yeah, it's a close game. I didn't see it, so I'll acquiesce to you who did. I just like to see when you got a McCaffrey, get him outside where he's going up against 1 or 2 guys rather than 3 or 5 guys right on the line. And like you said, he's got juke moves, he's got extension. I guess if I'm going to die by the sword, I'd rather die by that sword than run him straight into the heart of the defense. And I get it's easy. Let's be real, it's easy to play armchair coach
100%.
When the play doesn't work. If McCaffrey scores there, Ron Rivera is the greatest coach ever.
Ron's back,
but when he doesn't, that's where I can come in and say this. So I'm taking advantage of the opportunity.
Hey, that's exactly right. And if he does do this, he does look. I mean, I don't know if I'd say genius, but I
you see him every week, so
So I guess it's a little harder. But all right, man. So we've got one more game on schedule, at least on today. Looking at right now, 17-14 Minnesota over Dallas, a 6-3 and 5-3. Somebody's going to be right in it. I'm looking at both of these records, and these are 2 teams that could make it into the playoffs. But after looking at all the games today, most of Week 10's in the books. There's something that I want to go over before, in just a little bit, guys. We will get to the shit whip hit of the week. It's coming. Don't worry, it is coming. But I wanted to ask a question because I'm looking at all of these standings, and I'm not a big fan of looking at the standings, at least until we get to, I don't know, Week 10, Week 11. I mean, we're really not that much long left in the season. I'm looking today at the Rams, getting that loss to you guys. They've dropped now. They're easily third in their division behind the 49ers, who are 8-0, and Seattle's at 7-2. Do you think the Rams are actually going to make the playoffs? And that, just saying that sounds absurd when you think about where we were at the beginning of the year.
I think they've got to fix some holes in the boat, as they say. I wouldn't be surprised. I think they came into the year as a playoff team to most. Obviously the season hasn't went according to what they envisioned it, or a lot of people envisioned it. I watched the game. Obviously, I could just tell you now. Steelers defense is firing on all cylinders, but that
They were.
offensive that offensive line seems to be not very great. Not very great. I think maybe good, but not great.
Yeah.
Goff didn't have a lot of time to do a lot of
Oh.
anything today. So they got problems up front.
Mhm.
And defensively, I thought they played very well today. The Steelers really only one was a defensive touchdown, so they actually only
Yeah.
scored one touchdown. So I don't think they got problems on defense. I think it's the line. If they can fix, I think they're a offensive line fix from the playoffs. Now, if they can't fix it, they try, and it's like holes in the boat and water's coming in. If you can fix those holes and get the water out of the boat, they'll hang on
Yeah.
and get in. If you keep taking on water, then they'll sink. And that's really, I don't know if that's the greatest analogy, but that's how I view them
Hey. Yeah.
right now. Here's the thing: if they do get in, it's do they have enough? Will they fix those problems enough to actually be a threat in the playoffs? It's one thing to get in; it's another thing to be a legitimate threat, which I think they obviously were before the year started, and now they're sort of looking sort of I don't want to say feeble,
Yeah.
but they're looking human. They're almost very
Well,
human like. So
100%. And that's the thing. They looked like it on paper before this year started. And guys, please, like we said, I put the number up. If you guys disagree or would like to comment, please call in and join the conversation. We'd love to chat with you. But like you were saying, I mean, even if let's say they can get in, they're third in their division. It's going to come down to a couple of these division games. They're going to have to win out in the division. But I don't think even if they make it to the postseason, I don't find them like one bit scared. Like I don't see them as an intimidating force anymore. And that shows you, like, yes, on paper coming into the year, it was the Bleacher Report videos of Sean McVay reciting memory from play calls. That he can remember any play from any drive from any game. That's all you saw. Yes, exactly. That's all you saw. Okay, well, there's also D coordinators and stuff that are sitting over there watching film until 4 a.m. the entire offseason watching everything you do. I don't see him as a coach. I think he's got to take some blame for this too, on really not adapting. The offense is not. I mean, I watched a little bit of that game because they flipped it over on the local access here. And it just, I don't know. It looks like they're all going through the motions. I don't know if they think they can just coast their way into the postseason or what. But, I mean, you're looking at a team with 4 losses. I mean, that sums up half the NFC. You're far from guaranteed a spot in the playoffs. You're third in your own division. I don't see Seattle losing more than 2 games before the year's over. I honestly think the Rams end up at home, and that's something that a couple of weeks ago I never would have said.
Yeah, well, if they play like they're playing right now, there's no doubt they're not going to make the playoffs. I think it's the line, and there's some that will argue, and I'm not even saying it won't be me. I'm not sure Jared Goff is the guy,
No.
and they
paid
him like they're paying him like he is the guy.
Yeah.
And I think he's a good quarterback, but I don't know if he's a very good quarterback. And you need to be successful in the NFL. You need a very good or great quarterback, and for playoff success anyway. And I don't know if he's that guy. Now you could say, well, John, how do you say that when they made the Super Bowl? Well, sometimes you get by with the surrounding members of the team.
And
a team that
amazing.
comes right to mind was remember Trent Dilfer and the Baltimore Ravens.
Yes, exactly. But it's amazing what can happen with a smart coach with no film. Nobody had any film on him. They didn't know anything about how he was going to scheme, how he was going to game plan, how he was going to deal with third and long situations when it comes to the third quarter compared to the first. All that stuff that now you've got a year to see. And I see, like I said, I see absolutely no improvement from them. And I'm going to talk a lot more about Jared Goff a little later. But you mentioned something. I want to move on from the Rams now. It's going to be interesting to see if they do end up making the playoffs or not. Like I said, I think they're going to stay at home. But you mentioned the insane amount of money that they're paying Jared Goff. And I'm looking on TV right now, and I'm seeing Minnesota 20, Dallas 14, Dak trying to get the Cowboys into scoring range, and we'll see if it happens or not. But it seems that the reports are coming out now that Dak is going to be franchise tagged, so they weren't able to work out a contract. It looks like. What do you think that's the right move on Dallas's part? Not working out that deal and going on and just dealing with the tag and going on and letting it leak out now. I mean, that's very un-Dallas like. Jerry doesn't let information out unless he really wants it to get out. I don't know. What do you think about this franchise tag on Dak? I was expecting a massive deal coming from him during the season.
Well, we talked about this a couple weeks ago on this very show. I don't think he's worth the money he's asking for, which is from what I hear, between $40 and $50 million a year. That's insane, if you ask me. He has shown a propensity to play well, and he's shown a propensity. He's had those other games where the Jets beat him.
Exactly.
So I don't think he's worth 40 to 50 million. I think Dallas, the deal. Jerry Jones falls in love with guys. He's famous for like being friends with the players. And
he wants to be them so bad. I mean, they're his kids. They're literally his kids. He will treat you like a kid and everything. And I think that happens to a fault.
I think it is a fault. I think that's why there hasn't been a Lombardi Trophy in Dallas for a considerable years. And I think this might be another situation where now let's be. We got to be honest here too. To just not sign him is risky too. Let's stick up for him and do a whole 360 here. I mean, let's say you don't sign him. You say, man, you're not worth 40, 50 million bucks. We're not caving. We're gonna stare you down and see who blinks first. Right. Who do you get? You know what I mean? Yeah. And I don't think there's anyone. I mean, they're not going to have a high draft pick, most likely, to get one of these stud.
They gave up a lot. They gave up a lot for Cooper anyway, so I don't know their draft stock off the top of my head, but I know they didn't have to give up they didn't give up much for Cooper, but I know they gave up at least a third or something. I can't remember.
Well, they're not going to get a Tua. They're not going to get a Joe Burrow from college. So if they let Dak go or let Dak walk or don't give him what he wants, you're gonna have to go to free agency route most likely. And what are you gonna get? You know what I mean? Or you trade. I mean, maybe you trade for someone who has a backup they're not really utilizing, maybe like a Nick Foles in Jacksonville if they go the Minshew route. But is that the guy? You know what I mean? It's. I tell you what, I wouldn't want to be in Dallas's front office because it's not a simple fit. It's not a simple answer.
No, and I don't think if I'm Dallas, the reason that I just, do you really want? I hate the franchise tag, and I really hope in the next negotiations that we can I don't know, change it a little bit. I'm not going to begin to try and fix it on this show right now, but I do hope it's altered some way because I'm not a huge fan of it. But if I'm Dallas, do you really want to deal with all of this again? I mean, at least hey, undisputed on Comcast, they might as well go on and set the little description for the next 2 years for every show. I mean, you've got what you're going to talk about, Dak's contract. If I'm Dallas, I want to get this out of the way because you've got a very, very limited window, obviously, with a defense that's decent. They're okay. Nice pass by Dak right now as we're talking about him.
There's his best friend.
Yeah, exactly. Father and son, the father watching up from up above. I mean, it's clockwork. But I mean, you've got a very narrow window with Cooper, who just caught that touchdown. Very nice catch, by the way. But I mean, you've got a very narrow window. So I mean, if it's me, I pay him. You move on from the story. You get it over with because, like you said, who are you going to replace him with? I know there could be a talented quarterback class. In the draft, there could be a lot of good free agents, but do you really want to take that gamble? If it's me, and I'm not fully sold on Dak by any means, if it's me, though, you roll with this team. I do think this team's good enough to make it through the NFC. I do think you can win a championship with Dak, but I don't think he can do it alone. So, you know, I do think Amari Cooper's excellent and perfect for him. And, of course, right after he throws a touchdown, it's very easy for me to say that. But, you know, we will see.
Here's the other thing, though, Drew, real quick.
Yeah.
If you pay Dak all that dough, again, that leaves less dough for other needs and things you need, you know, to win.
It does, but it doesn't, because it comes down to this is Dallas. You can structure that contract, and that's what a lot of the misconceptions about these contracts are. If you throw that into guaranteed money, I mean, Jerry Jones will he'll pay his son as much guaranteed money as he wants. So, I mean, if you can turn those into bonuses and take it away from actual contract and throw it all into the guarantees, which Dallas has the money for, like you guys, like a Steelers organization, you have the money to do it, and you can do those guaranteed contracts. That's where I think Jerry Jones, if he wants another ring, at least anytime soon, you've got to pay for it, and you've got to pay Dak. So it's going to be interesting to see, at least. But I don't know. It's they're another tough one. We've got two divisions that are very close races, and we're going to move on to stock up and stock down in just a moment, John. But I want to go on now to something that I've been waiting to do. And that, of course, is if you saw the videos this week, guys, we did announce it. But each week, well, John, why don't you explain a little bit about what exactly Shit Whip Hit of the Week is?
It's fun to say. First off, Shit Whip Hit of the Week. You know, I know the NFL is trying to take a lot of the stuff out of the game. We're trying to put it back in.
Yes.
And so we're going to. And yes, let's all joking aside, there are still some big hits in the NFL. And so each week we're going to ask you folks that are watching games just like us, if you're watching a game or you happen, whether you're watching or you hear about a big hit from another game, maybe you're not watching, let us know the candidate, nominate it for Shit Whip Hit of the Week. That's harder to say than I thought it was going to be. I can't say it 10 times real fast.
No.
So so send us your nominees. If you see more than one, send us multiple. Yeah. And we'll get together. We'll be like the team in the booth. We'll review them, and then we'll come out, you know, and pick one of those each week. And maybe it'll be the one you nominate, and you can say, "Hey, man, I told him about that," and exactly. You know, hang your hat on that clip. You know, so you know, we want to put the football back in football a little bit here, and there's still some decent shots. You know, we're not trying to say we want to see someone get hurt, but you know, we're
granted, most of those shots are flagged nowadays.
Yeah. Oh, and that's another disclaimer. Even if it's flagged, still send it. It still counts to us.
If it's flagged, that probably means you should send it.
Yeah.
Anything that I want to see, it seems nowadays gets flagged. I mean, Jesus Christ, I don't know if the refs were just giving our show a shout out or not, but the roughing the passer on Aaron Rodgers that happened in the freaking third quarter of that game was absurd. But anyway, so without further ado, I planned on going and sticking with the Aaron Rodgers game and going with the skydiver who missed his entrance is slammed into the wall because he hit that wall pretty hard. Instead, we are going with this one right here, John. I will let you take a look. It is Mr. Traquan Smith. And dude, this hit was absolutely brutal. Bam. You pointed this out to me.
He stays on his feet. Yeah. Look at this. He doesn't go down. His helmet gets knocked off, and he stays on his feet. If this was
the dude tackling him too. Sees his helmet's off of him. Sees he doesn't have the ball, and still wants to take him down so hard. I love it.
Yeah,
this is division football. This is division football, 100%. I'm going to play it again for anyone that missed it because it's beautiful. This is exactly the type of football I like to see, and that's why it's the shit whip hit of the week. Look at this thing. Yeah. And I love the dude still trying to take him down at the end. Right?
He gets his bell rung right here. His helmet comes off. He's still holding on to the ball. It's moving a little bit. He's like, no, I'm keeping this thing. And then he stays on his feet. He does go down here at the end, but for the most part, he stays on his feet. If this was a boxing match, they'd give him a standing 8 count.
Exactly.
But the fight's not over. The fight's not over. Just standing 8. You're okay. You're all right. All right. Let's continue.
Yeah, I loved it. When you pointed this out, it's like you sent me the clip. And it would not load on my phone. So I was like, okay, I knew something big had happened. Boom. God, I love that. That's football. And I don't know. Please, guys, send them our way. First of all, we'll get back to talking more about this one in a minute. But, guys, that's our inaugural shit whip hit of the week. Traquan Smith, take a bow. There you go. Take that bow.
For a debut of this segment, that's a pretty good one. Like that might be tough to top the rest of the year going forward. That one's setting the bar pretty high early.
It is. That's a solid one. I love it. Like I said, multiple aspects to it. Staying on his feet was mightily impressive.
Yeah. Well, if you say, hey, I got this big hit, but the guy stays on his feet, you're probably thinking, it can't be that big of a hit. He stayed on his feet. But then you see it, and you're like, holy smokes, he did stay on his feet. His helmet fly. You got the helmet part flying off. It had elements of a lot of different things.
Everything.
You know,
love it.
So
there were so many good ones. There were quite a few other really good hits. Every single one of them, like I said, had a flag attached to it. But this one was just, I don't know. I love it. I love seeing helmets fly. I love seeing big hits.
I think, you know what we got to do, Drew, is we got to make almost like a contest out of it. Whoever sends us nominees for this award each week, here we go. Here's what we'll do. Whoever sends us the nominees for the hit of the week, we'll be honest. We'll get together, pick who we decide, what hit we decide's the best hit of the week, and anyone, if there's multiples, we'll randomize that list and award one of them some sort of prize.
I love it, man. I love it.
If one person finds that the hit that wins it, you got it wrapped up and you win. It's probably gonna be a card or an autograph. That's what we kind of do. I can't give you my fridge or anything like that. Shipping's a beast on those things.
I got like an old coffee. I got like an old coffee pot. I was gonna sell in like a yard sale thing if you don't want it, but I'd rather send you an autograph or something. But if you like this coffee, I think it's like a Mr. Coffee. I don't know.
I got some socks I don't wear anymore.
But anyway, guys, so there you go for the initial shit whip hit of the week. Nothing like bringing back, like you said, some old school football to it. So, John, got to move on now, unfortunately. To yet another.
We could do our own show on this.
Yeah, I could spend all day watching that. I could spend a whole day talking about the different elements of that clip. That hit's awesome. And like I said, it personifies division rivalry football, which is why I wanted to play it, because we're getting into that really fun time. But after today's schedule, man, it's time to go into stock up, stock down. So after today's games, we'll start with stock up, and I'll let you go first as always. Who's on your stock up list this week?
Man, I like this guy. He hasn't had a bad year, don't get me wrong, but today was sort of his I've arrived party. You actually spoke about him already. It's Christian Kirk from the Cardinals. 6 catches, 138 yards, as you said earlier, 3 scores.
3 scores.
I think that offense in Arizona is show that they're not going to be a flash in the pan, fluky type of deal. That they're going to be here to make some noise, and he's going to be a big part of it. And so again, another young receiver. I like them staying. Oh, go ahead. Though I don't know if you want to. I know you brought him up earlier, but if you want to add to that.
No, I completely agree with you. I love him. I will, Pat. Like I said, guys, the DFS picks. I may be, as I'll show you with the big picks in just a minute on the game picks, might be 500, but the daily fantasy, at least for the ones I keep telling you guys about, I've been killing it. If you did what I told you to do today, which was pair Kirk and Kyler Murray up together, you absolutely dominated your leagues. But no, I think Christian Kirk's awesome, and I think I really like what Arizona is building there. And the weirdest thing to me is we're watching all this stuff happen, and you're seeing someone in Arizona emerge that isn't David Johnson. The last couple of years, it was literally David Johnson or nothing. And so to see someone else, I mean, I know they had Fitzgerald there, but I'm talking about somebody new, a new name coming in, making some plays besides Mr. Reliable. Seeing somebody like Kirk, like you said, someone that's been there and that a lot of fantasy owners have had him for a long time. He's been riding the bench there for a long time. You've been waiting for this kid to do something. And today, he showed exactly why they've had that patience in him. And yeah, obviously Kyler Murray trusts him. He looks like he's developed trust with all his receivers. I'm really liking that kid.
Yeah, and this 2018 receiver class, and this is getting into the hobby aspect and the sport, is I think when all is said and done years later, we'll look back at 2018 receivers as one of the best receiver drafts maybe in history potentially. And you got a guy where on your team that how I feel about him, in DJ Moore, same draft, Cortland Sutton, James Washington in Pittsburgh, and I'm leaving somebody out as always, but that class is just loaded with guys that potential Pro Bowlers, and maybe getting ahead of ourselves down the line here, potential Hall of Fame candidates.
Well, I mean, you're seeing, a team like the Broncos, you're seeing the Broncos, they shipped away their entire receiving core to give it to Sutton. I mean, they pretty much handed Sutton the reins already. I agree with you. That receiving class, it's incredibly impressive. The last couple of drafts have been so much fun with other guys. But so who else you got for on your stock up this week?
Let's another guy. Well, you call this one today on the DFS, Darius Slayton. How can you not pick him? 10 catches, 121 yards. You shorted him 2 yards, Drew. His agent's gonna call you.
Right. He doesn't have an agent, not till now.
And 2
They're
touchdowns
him right now. He's on the phone with agents now.
But and for the Giants, that's encouraging, because you trade away OBJ, Sterling Shepard's hurt, and you're like, well, who's gonna step up? And apparently, Darius answered the call. You picked him for the sleeper pick, and he woke up. He wasn't sleeping today, but good call on a guy that when you're talking fantasy, he's not up near that upper top tier yet. Those numbers are top tier by far, and kudos to you for smelling that one out and early.
Thank you, sir. Well, yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys, like, when you're looking at it, and obviously when you're filling out a roster, they all can't be Christian McCaffrey and insert your MVP here, but looking at someone like him, he's a low-cost option where you're trying for low cost with also a low percentage of played. And I mean, in the league I was in, I think it had him at 0.84% of the people in the league playing him. And I mean, you take a shot with these kids, like you said, especially at a banged up course. But I like both of those picks for stock up, obviously. But for mine, my first one, I'm sticking with you. I've got Slayton as well. So we'll go on and pass that one by. We've talked about him all show. He's probably going to win at least NFC Offensive Player of the Week, I would assume.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know of any. Maybe Aaron Jones in Green Bay. I'm not sure. But my other guy is Lamar Jackson. I mean, looking at it from a hobby standpoint, like you were just talking about, quarterbacks king. But Lamar Jackson doing what only your guy Big Ben's done, have 2 perfect passer rating games in the same season. Dude was lights out. I mean, like I said, every time I watch him, it reminds me so much of watching Cam Newton's rookie year. Now, whether that's a good thing or not, probably depends on your opinion on Cam. I'm not saying he looks like Cam or necessarily reminds me exactly like him. It's just he reminds me of he's having that season where I don't think he's a flash in the pan. He's got a lot he needs to work on. But I think today was one of those games where he's showing you like he's deserving of all this. And they're building something special in Baltimore. And like we keep talking about how the Chiefs don't have a clear path, I don't think the Patriots do. That AFC is jam-packed, and Baltimore's got as good as any to make it all the way.
Yeah, you can't argue with the numbers.
I know you got to talk about. I know you don't want to talk about Lamar Jackson.
But again, you gotta remember I'm anti-Baltimore, so I'm gonna come from. Again, they played the Bengals today. Me, you, and 9 other guys would have won that game. My quarterback passer rating. If I was a quarterback, it wouldn't have been perfect. I'm not saying that, but it would have probably been 3 digits against the Bengals. And I'm not a quarterback, as you see. I'm a defensive lineman. That's what I played. But all joking aside, listen, he's surprising me with his play. Let's give credit where credit's due. I also got to say, listen, look at the opponent. But right now, look, they're winning that division. I just said look at the opponent, but look what they did last week in beating New England. So you got to give credit where it's due. He's playing well. I just like you said, Cam Newton had this kind of start. Other guys have too. Teams are going to game plan of watch more film.
That's it right there. Is all I want to see nowadays is we're so analytics are so important. They're so detailed, and film has gotten, and really strategizing has become so important that yes, it's impressive what you can do one season, but I want to see it done a couple in a row. If he comes out, if he can do this through the rest of the season and next year, then that's when I'll start to be a believer, because I want to see what you can do after teams have an off season to prepare for you, because you see it happen all the time. You see people tank all the time after it happens, and that's really what I want to see with him. Now, obviously, the only thing I can do with that is wait, because I can't fast forward time yet, but we're working on it. But anyway, we're going now to stock down. So, Mr. Newton, give me your 2 guys for stock down this week.
Well, I'll say the first one was a guy I watched today, and I'm not even sure it's really his fault per se, although it's got to be somewhat his fault. Cooper Kupp.
Yeah,
I mean probably the number 1 receiver on the Rams. No catches for obviously no yards. The Steelers put up a donut, and this Steelers secondary vastly improved with Minka.
Incredible trade. Might be the trade. If you guys make the playoffs, that's the trade of the year. Easily.
Joe Hayden playing insane right now. And, the Steelers secondary of old, or what we were accustomed to, Cooper Kupp would have probably had another 200-yard game. But they've shored that up. They're playing well. But to have no catches and no yards in a 1-score game, that's a stock down. And again, I'm not saying it's all his fault, but you still have to own it. He played, he didn't get hurt, and he didn't make 1 catch. So he's got to own that. And coming off the performance he had last week, that's crazy. So give the Steelers defense some credit, but you got to do. If he was a Steeler, I'd be mad at him. So I got to put him on this list. And the other one, I almost want to just say New York / New Jersey running back, and and give this both to Le'Veon Bell and Saquon
Yeah.
Barkley.
Yeah.
I don't know maybe it's something in the water there right now. I don't know,
Whoa.
but let's go with Saquon. I mean, 13 carries for 1 yard. Like,
Insane.
I love the guy. I don't think we talked about this earlier. I think that line's terrible, which is a factor in that stat line. But 13 carries for 1 yard, man.
You have to. He can fall for. I mean, think about it. You snap and he falls forward. He should have 10 yards.
That's insane. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. I don't think Pat Shurmur is the answer at head coach there. Again, we can make a whole show, Drew, about guys that are better coordinators than head coaches. Honestly, we could. And Shurmur's on that list as well. We could put Freddie Kitchens on that. Anthony Lynn maybe, and So they got problems there, but regardless of the problems, you're a marquee back and you get 13 carries for a yard. You got to be on the stock down list.
No, absolutely. These are the games you have to show up for. I mean, if you look on the calendar, I mean, to me, this game means nothing because I don't have any connection to the New York area. But I know that game is, I mean, it's the world to a lot of people up there. I mean, that's both of the teams. And so, I mean, you've got to come prepared for this game. And the way I look at it is if Daniel Jones can stay upright and at least make people believe that he has some competency as a starting quarterback, Saquon Barkley should be able to get 50 yards on the ground off 13 carries, at least 50. I don't think that's asking too much from Saquon.
Yeah.
And to get one is just absolutely mind-blowing. So I completely agree with you. I completely agree with both of those picks. And for my stock down, one of them actually kind of is the reason for one of yours. And my first one is Jared Goff. Absolutely pathetic, like you said. His number one wide receiver, Cooper Kupp, absolutely nothing. They get 12 points overall, total. Now, like you said, your defense was amazing. I will say that. It was amazing. But 12 points, I mean, come on.
They didn't score. They actually didn't have an offensive touchdown in this game, Drew.
He went 22 for 41 for 243 yards and 2 interceptions.
Their one touchdown was on a bad shotgun snap that I forgot who it was, Little John, I think, picked it up and took it to the house. So that was it. That was early. That was like the first drive, and we were down 7-0. And all they got the rest of the game was a field goal and a safety on us for the 12 points. So
I agree. All right, and for my last stop down, it's somebody that I didn't expect to be putting on this list, but after looking at it, I was trying to think of another person. I didn't want to pick all quarterbacks. I was really trying to figure out who to pick and to put on this list. And I'm looking through stats, and I go through the stat sheet, and I realize that yet again he's had just another ho-hum week, and he's got to be on the stock down list for that reason, and that's Odell Beckham Jr. This is a signature win over a Buffalo team that's incredibly talented. If I was going to make a top 10 list, you and I have talked about how we're not big fans of top 10 lists, at least until you get right before the playoffs, maybe. But if you're going to put top 10 teams, Buffalo's probably in there, at least until today. You get this entire win, and OBJ, nothing. Now, I know Buffalo's defense, absolutely amazing. They shut people down, but you're OBJ. You've got Jarvis Landry. They have other weapons there. The running game in Cleveland it's good enough to actually keep you honest. Like, there's no reason for Odell to not be a major part and a major reason for a Cleveland win. And that's why not only do I have him on the stock down list, at first when I saw those trade OBJ reports, I thought it was just funny and it was a joke. I'm actually 100% for it because I don't think he fits in there one bit. And games like today prove it. They're able to win. I mean, you can say he was really, quote unquote, being a decoy, but I watched some of the game. He really wasn't. He's not the same person. He's not the same threat he was in New York, and so he's on my stock down list.
I agree with you. I think they got to move him. I don't think he fits the system well. I think let's be honest, Drew. I think he's a me guy. I think he cares about his stats. I think he's one of those guys. He'll never come out publicly and say this, but he's one of those guys. If you say, "All right, OBJ, you can have 6 catches for 120 yards and a touchdown, but you lose the game," or you could have 2 catches for 35 yards, no touchdowns, and you win. And it was he didn't have to sign his name to it. He'd say he'd take the 6 catches for 120.
When he ends up in Miami or someplace like that, that's all about doing absolutely not. That's not about winning. That's all about a money grab contract instead of. I think they're building something there in Cleveland. I don't know. I agree with you. I think he's a very me first. One of those me first wide receivers, which is fine to have to an extent, but I don't know what the problem is in Cleveland. I just see it. I don't know if it's a him and Baker thing, if it's a him and the coaching thing. I know it's not a him. Maybe it's a him and Landry thing. Maybe them leaving, playing together in college was great, but leaving and having some time apart and then both coming back after being quote unquote number ones, maybe that was a problem. I don't know what it was. I expected him and Landry pairing up together. Nice throw, Dak. I expected that pairing to work, but it really seems to have held OBJ back. But I mean, Landry's done fine, which is why I kind of put all of this on Beckham.
Yeah, I think he's not a team guy. The problem is that probably hurts his trade stock because someone that's going to eliminate some teams from even acquiring him. They're just going to be like, listen, he's a great talent, but we don't want to disrupt what we got going here. So we're going to be out on this. So, Cleveland could trade him. I just don't think they're going to get what they probably need to. They're going to probably have to settle and get maybe lesser round draft picks than they really would like to. But, there's always that saying, addition by subtraction. And so they really have to think about maybe they're better off, without them.
You gotta take the name away from it. You've got to separate the name from all of this. I know it's OBJ, and you think, well, yeah, you can't move this. I mean, it's not working. You're 3-6. I mean, Jesus. I've never seen so much like you're 3 and the conversation ends. You're 3-6, and you're not. Well, no,
don't forget the money he's getting paid.
Exactly, and that could be a big problem too. I mean, it could be like I always refer back to one of my ECU guys, Chris Johnson. Loved him, went to school with him, knew him. As soon as he got paid, forget about it. Effort was gone. You could see it, and that could be a case here as well. I don't know what it is, but I know he's made this stock down list, and he probably should have made it a couple of weeks sooner. But I've tried to. I mean, you expect it to just happen. You expect him to have that breakout game and for it to come sometime. But, I mean, dude, we've only got 7 weeks of the season left. He's running out of time to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're going to have to move on. And they got pieces there, but I don't think he fits the board.
No, I completely agree with you. So before we wrap up today, man, it was, like I said, it was a fun week of football. But before we wrap up, I figure since we did do it for the very first time today, let's watch that shit whip hit of the week one more time. Because, like I said, we could probably do a whole episode on it. But for anyone that wasn't watching, here you go. You get to see the shit whip hit of the week. And there it is, and see you later. And oh God, I love it, football.
Yeah,
just love it, absolutely love it. So, guys, make sure for next week when you're watching any of these games, we'll be putting up a post on our Facebook and Twitter and everything, asking you, to comment below with your hit. Nominate anything, tag if you see something on Twitter or something, just tag us in it. Make us aware of it anyway. Like you said, John, we'll figure out a way to
we'll give something out. You're out there doing the research, and I can only watch 3 to 4 games a week, so
Yeah,
we can't see everything. So if you
exactly.
see something we miss, I didn't see the Traquan Smith hit myself, so it was someone else kind of alerting us, and be that person, you might get something for it.
But anyway, guys, till then, I guess, John, we'll have our pick show on Thursday yet again, and we'll wrap everything up for this week, guys. But make sure, like I said, guys, call in and come on the show. If you guys disagree with anything we say, if there's a question you have, come on and try and come on into the main thread so we can see the comments in here. Sometimes if they're shared into a room, we might miss some of them, can't catch every single one. But really want you guys to be on the show. Always welcome to call in. Don't wait. Just click on that link. Don't need anything but an iPhone, Android, anything. It's a couple of short clicks and then you're on. But otherwise, other than that, I guess we will see you guys Thursday for our pick show. Mr. Newman, it's been a pleasure as always.
Yeah, I just want real quick, Drew.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's Veterans Day. I want to say
Yes. Yes.
to anyone out there, men, women, who are serving or have served in the past, thank you. It allows us to do what we just did here, which is a lot of fun. It allows us to enjoy football like we did today, and so to men and women, current and past, who have served, thank you for that commitment and service, and stay safe.
I couldn't have said it better myself, my friend. And by the way, congratulations on your 1 year on the podcast. Also, by the way, my man.
It's crazy. Like talking to you earlier, it went quick and it went slow at the same time, if that makes any sense. So,
yeah. Well, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We will see you guys Thursday for our week 11. God, I can't believe it's week 11 already. But we'll be coming back to you on Thursday with our week 11 picks. So have a good one, y'all.
Take it easy.